Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain, where we have coffee in my Paris mug from Shakespeare & Co. We have a little bit of rain going on outside, which is weird because, not weird because of the rain, but weird because like yesterday or 2 days ago, it was like 70 something degrees, and now it's going to be like freezing overnight, and then it'll be back up to like 60 degrees. So weird weather we're having. No wonder my sinuses are going crazy. But we are here to talk about books. And the book we are talking about today is the mini hauntings of the Manning family. So we're going to dive in. Let's see, we're going to put my coffee over here. And we're going to talk about Lorien Lawrence's most recent book, which seems to be a YA audiobook that I received from NetGalley, and I had so much fun with this book. Now it does release on March 18th of 2025, so I'm going to be just a couple days behind on getting this out to you guys, only because I think I got it a little bit late, or I got it like a day or two before the due date and just had a couple others lined up before I could get this one out. So let's dive in because I would love to talk about this book with you guys. An action-packed, spine-tingling ghost stories about two twins with supernatural powers, perfect for fans of Five Nights at Freddy's and the Goosebumps series. 13-year-old Gabby and Trent Manning are Connecticut's youngest paranormal investigators. Both have inherited the gift from their grandparents, the Mannings, whose legendary ghost hunts inspired several books and movies, but whose name has nearly been forgotten since their untimely deaths years before. Armed with EMF machines, flashlights, and recording equipment, the twins' mom drags them all over New England in an attempt to bring back the family name into the limelight. Never mind that Gabby's tired of being known as a ghost twin, and Trent finds most of the hauntings to be pretty frightening. Their mom thinks their latest destination is exactly what the family needs to go on, to go the abandoned. That sentence is weird. Their mom thinks their latest destination is exactly what the family needs to go the abandoned Majestic Theater. The site that I think that sentence is written a little weird. I'm not sure I'm a fan of it. I swear I think I read it right. The site of the late Manning's infamous failed exorcism. However, nothing about this investigation goes according to plan. After a terrifying seance gone wrong on stage, their mother goes missing in the building, and it's clear that a powerful demon is haunting the theater. Will the twins be able to live up to their grandparents' legacy and vanquish the demon before it's too late? So, I really loved this book. Now, yes, it's YA. Could it be kind of on the verge of middle grade? I don't know. Because this looks like, as at least as of right now, it says genre audiobook, but then underneath it, it says it's 288 pages in hardcover. So that's kind of funny to me because when it says the genre is audiobook, that makes me think that I thought the primary mode would be an audiobook, but it does look like there is a Kindle edition that also releases around the same time by Amulet Books. But I think listening to this really makes, like, it sets the scene for this particular book, and the narrators did a great job because if I'm remembering correctly, there are 2 or 3 narrators, because if a single narrator is able to do the voice of Gabby, the voice of Trent, and the voice of the being that's inside the theater, then they have masterful control over their voice. But I think that there actually are at least 2, if not 3, voices or narrators for this particular book, just simply because the demon's voice is very low and rumbly and kind of like rocks, and it sounds really frightening. Then there is Trent the brother, and who I feel confident was a different voice than Gabby. Either that or the narrator just did a really good job. But that's what I'm saying. It's like I feel like the demon is at least a separate voice. So, going from there, I love, and I'm just going to start off with letting you guys know, I love a good spooky show, good spooky ghost show on YouTube. I love watching all these little, could they be ghosts, could they be shadows, could they be staged, blah, 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 blah. I don't care because I'm entertained. I don't, like, if I can figure it out, I'll try to figure it out. But I like the entertainment part of these ghost sightings sort of things. So sometimes I will watch those ghost investigator series to see what they do, when they're calling a ghost out or using their machines to pick up different vibrations. I enjoy it. I find most of them to be fairly entertaining. Do I believe them? I don't know. I don't know if I've seen enough to say yes 100% one way or the other. But this book gives me that same sort of vibe of watching one of those shows. If you have ever delved into these little spooky ghost shows on YouTube or what have you, you may have heard of the couple of Ed and Lorraine Warren. They have movies out, books out, there is a museum, all this sort of stuff. They were considered paranormal investigators in like the 60s or 70s, something like that, 70s or 80s. There's like The Conjuring and like the Amityville and all this sort of stuff. So the Conjuring series is probably the one that's at least been in mainstream recently that I'm aware of that does kind of revolve around the Warrens. Well, in my personal thought, this book feels as though it could be Gabby and Trent as the grandchildren of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Now, that is not their names in this particular book. It is not Ed and Lorraine Warren. This is a Manning family with different names. It's like Josephine and Samuel or something of that nature. But the way they're kind of described and depicted I was able to put myself into that mindset and just pretend that I was kind of on an adventure with the grandkids. Like, should the grandkids, if they exist, potentially have any sort of gift of mediumship. So I also was not expecting this book's atmosphere and action to be as scary as it was, to be as intense as it was for a middle grade YA book. Because looking at the cover, it's fairly cartoonish, to the point that I would almost say kind of Scooby-Doo-ish, and totally fine with that. I love Scooby-Doo. Like, please and thank you. Grew up on that stuff. However, the story you get inside is much more intense, and it's really good. Now, it is a ghost investigation / seance sort of situation. Gabby and Trent are, well, their mom is kind of what I would call their show manager, and she doesn't have any particular gifts, even though she is the daughter of, I guess, the grandparents. So she's the direct line, but maybe the gifts skipped a generation. And she's the one who's rolling the cameras and setting up their YouTube in order to kind of maintain this level of fame for the Manning name. They get good views, but they're not great views. The mom wants them to do better. The mom, she's really adamant about them doing a really good job so they can be the next big thing. And Gabby, on the other hand, she's 13 years old. Again, they're twins. Gabby and Trent are twins. So you would think they kind of would have maybe this twin bond or something, but they're both very different. And Gabby is really tired of doing this. She feels like she's been doing this and living under this family name for so long that she just wants to play soccer. She just wants to hang out with her friends and go to parties and not have to worry about this family business anymore. However, on the other side, Trent really kind of seems to enjoy it. He seems to like the research aspect of it. He likes the I think he still thinks that the investigations are very scary and often freezes when, you have the fight, flight, or freeze. Well, he freezes like a deer in a headlight sometimes, to the point that Gabby has to kind of insert herself into a lot of those situations to rein it back in. Well, Trent seems to enjoy the, I guess, the ghost hunting aspect, minus sometimes the scary parts. And that's totally fine. But their mom is like, okay, well, we have a gig. We're gonna go do the Majestic Theater. It was your grandparents' last investigation before they decided to retire, and I think it would just be really great for our numbers if we went to this location, and it's gonna be good for us. Everything's gonna take off from there, and so they get there, and the owner of it, he's like, okay, look, I've heard this place is haunted. I've not seen anything. It's, whatever. I blame the grandparents because they gave this place a bad name, and I just want to sell this place and be done with it. So their mom, like, she didn't tell them they were not getting paid for this. Their mom volunteered them for this job as kind of a way to, I guess, get exposure, you could possibly say. So the kids don't find that out until they actually arrive. And then they're like, fine. Well, now Gabby's pretty pissed because she was supposed to have like the first game of the season with her soccer team. And her mom has been like, no, family comes first. And you'll have other soccer games. Well, this was the first game of the season. Gabby's been doing so incredibly well. She's also been named captain of this particular game, and she was really looking forward to it. So her mindset is a little bit on what I would call the angry side. And Trent has kind of started noticing a little bit of something odd about himself as well. Not puberty, but a little something else. And I don't know if I want to kind of go, is that a spoiler? Is that a spoiler? I don't know. Well, anyway, they have the ability of this mediumship. They can talk to ghosts and they can see ghosts and those sorts of things. I don't want to say they can interact with ghosts, but the talking and the seeing are pretty prominent. And so they go into this theater and they kind of get just a little bit of history, even though Trent had already done some research, and the owner leaves them there. Well, things go bad pretty quickly. Now, this was a fairly short audiobook in my personal thoughts. I want to say it was only about 7 hours, so I was able to listen to it probably within about 2, maybe 3 sittings, just because I did actually get caught up in another book reading it. Like, I had another ebook that I was like consuming like voraciously. But this book was fun, but it was engaging. It's kind of scary. There's one point where one of the kids kind of gets possessed. And in the book, even though they do talk about like ghosts and demons, they refer to this entity as just like a dark entity most of the time. And like, they don't frequently call it a demon of any sort, and I don't know if they're just trying to be like, oh well, it's a dark entity, we don't know, or and then for ghosts they have a release ceremony, and for demons they have a return ceremony, because they have to, like, for ghosts they have to release their soul and let them be free, whereas demons were never human, so they have to be returned from where they came. And so that's just part of the story as well. But I really liked this book. I was very engaged. Now, the only thing is would have loved to potentially have more ghost hunting on the horizon. And I don't know, maybe Gabby will come back and want to do some ghost hunting in the future. But as of right now, it does feel like a standalone. It doesn't feel as though we might get any more, but I think with ghost hunting and this sort of situation, there is potential for more. We do end kind of the book with a pretty good ending. I'll say satisfactory ending in my personal thoughts. And kind of glad that Gabby stood up for herself, that her brother also kind of, even Gabby was more of the extroverted social person. Again, she has kind of a social life outside of ghost hunting, and Trent doesn't have that much of a like social life, but it's like he does have friends. But he doesn't spend a lot of time with them since he's always doing these sorts of ghost things that his mom sets up. Like Halloween is always for a ghost a hunt or whatever. And a release is what I think they sometimes call them. Their mom is always setting them up on specific, like the holidays or like the anniversary of their grandparents, or like, of course Halloween or what have you. But like there's like a Friday the 13th would always be booked because their mom would think that it's like marketing. But I was utterly engaged. I had a great time. Yes, it can get spooky and it can get scary, and there are ghosts roaming about, and there's a demon hunting them as well. And the vibe of this dilapidated, moldering theater just seems like such a cool setting. I would like to see this like translated to maybe a movie, but that's just my thoughts, my personal opinions, and I'm going to leave it there. But I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope that if you have not liked and subscribed, that you will. And maybe give me a thumbs up if you think I'm doing okay. And I will see you guys on the next page. I hope you enjoyed this journey, and I hope you have a great one.